I'm out here in the garage again with the Massey Ferguson 205-4, and I've got a bunch of little things that I need to work on today. I'm going to do an oil change, so the oil filter is down there below the exhaust right here. I'm going to do an oil change, so I got a new filter for this and I got some new oil. I'm starting to see that there's some bolts missing here on the dash, so I got to try to get the dash lined up correctly. I got a replacement cable for my tachometer, which is one of these Dorman universal cables. And I've never used one of these before. I've seen them for years. I used to work at a Napa and I always saw these in like the help rack. I've never tried one, but I'm going to try one. It's really a speedometer cable, but as long as it has square ends that are the same size as the tachometer, that might work. So I'm going to try to fix the tachometer today. I might, if I'm feeling lucky, take the exhaust pipe off. I kind of want to take the top of this pipe off. I have to chop this a little bit shorter because the rain cap I put on there is a little bit crooked, and honestly it doesn't really close that well, so I need to tweak the rain cap a little bit. And there's also a hole down here in the bottom of the exhaust pipe, so if I can get this off cleanly without wrecking the gasket, which is probably not going to happen, I'm going to take that and weld up the hole on the bottom so it doesn't leak exhaust there. Maybe weld this guy on here and then cut the top of the pipe straight so it looks better. And then I'm also going to, I have to take this mount off the front of the tractor. There's 4 bolts on each side. That whole mount comes out, and I need to take it off for a couple reasons. One, it's a little bit bent and I want to try to straighten it out. And two, I have to take that off to tilt the hood all the way forward, because the hood really doesn't open all the way unless that bracket is taken off, because the front part of the hood actually hits that bracket. So I need to tilt that forward so I can change the battery. While I'm in there, I might look and see if there's a place in the front of this that I can mount some lights. I actually have an old, I think it's a 68 or 66 or 67 Sears grill up here that has some big LED spotlights in it, or work lights, and I might pull those out and try to fit those to the front of the tractor somehow so I can have some better light, because those factory headlights are really crappy and I will need light when I'm using this thing at night. And then while I have the hood open, I'm going to try to see if I have a radiator cap that fits this thing, because the radiator on this leaks a little bit when it gets hot. There's actually a puddle of antifreeze under the tractor. That's from running it about 20 minutes yesterday. It got hot enough that it was just spitting out the top of the radiator. Might be a bad cap, I'm not sure. And then the other thing I want to try to do today while I'm out here is jack the tractor up and swap the wheels side to side, because these wheels are actually inboard as far as they can go. If you switch them side to side, I'll get about 3 inches wider on each side, because they do have an offset. And to me, the wheels on this thing look really, really goofy. I don't know why they're like a solid disc. Most wheels have like a center piece that's either welded or bolted into an outer hoop. And, you know, they have holes in them so you can put wheel weights on them. I don't have wheel weights for this either, but I need wheel weights, and I probably need to fill the tires with something. I was actually thinking about filling the tires up with windshield washer fluid, at least like 3/4 of the way. That would probably take about, I don't know, 10 gallons per tire, which would be about 80 to 90 pounds per tire. So that's something that'll probably happen down the road, but for now I want to swap the wheels side to side so I can get that extra width on them. And then kind of assess. I actually thought about, I have stacks and stacks of Sears wheel weights. They're about 10.5 inches in outer diameter. And I actually thought about possibly mounting 4 of them. Now this is a cub weight, but just for reference, it's the same size as the Sears weight. I actually thought about if I could mount these. Yeah, it's not going to work. If there was enough room here on the rim, I was actually thinking I could mount weights here, but that's not really going to work. And just bolting one of these on, even if it was big enough to go around the center hub, it's not going to net me much, because these cub weights only weigh about 25 pounds each. The Sears ones are only 33 pounds each, so I got to figure out a better way to add some weight onto this. I'd love to get some like 100-pound split international weights or something that I can bolt onto the wheel to get me some more weight, because I don't particularly love having the weight box on the back of the tractor. It limits what you can do with the 3-point hitch. And this being a hydraulic 3-point hitch, I want to have the ability to use a drawbar and lift up logs and stuff like that. So I need some extra weight added to the tire. So I'm definitely going to fill them up with something, probably windshield washer fluid, because I've used that in my garden tractors forever. It doesn't really seem to harm the rubber, and it's about the cheapest ballast you can get. I would fill them up with beet juice or something like that, but it can be really messy, and over time it can corrode the rims. The washer fluid, in my experience, I've had it in some of these wheels. So like these wheels right here, those were on my loader. These have been filled with washer fluid for probably 6 or 7 years. But enough yammering, let's go ahead and get started doing some work on this thing. Oh yeah, she's still dripping antifreeze. What the poop? Now I gotta figure out where that's coming from. It's dripping from the middle of the tractor somewhere. I wonder if this has got a bad head gasket. That would really suck. Well, yes and no. I can get them. Ah! That is some black oil. Yikes. That is really black. Smells like diesel soot. No idea what thickness that oil was, but it is old and black. Well, the good thing is, it has a magnetic drain plug and there's almost no metal in it at all.
Abandoned dreams, a junkyard abyss. Well, a spark grind of steel in the night. We breathe in the crust, let it burn, it's right. Fenders, bed frame split in half. Grease on my shirt, it's my epitaph. Tired engines whispered they're done. Cranky hands scream, we lost no one. Will in the pain, revving hearts loud through oil and chain. Tired engines whisper they're done. Cranky hands scream, we lost no one. We're fixing what's broke, well in the pain. Revving hearts loud through oil and chain. Tires spin black smoke to the sky. Resurrect the beast, we won't let it die. Old strip rust won't give me peace. Grimy fingers twist, peg, and release. Empty tanks rattle, will they trust me? Pulled them from the grave, now they're running free. Exhaust roars fall from a gutted soul. Pistons pulling, coming back for control. Ain't no grave for steel built this tough. Turning forgotten scrap back in the rough. Cut edges polished with sin. Dirt and sweat's where a new life begins. Oil stain stories on cracked concrete. Hammer hits hard till the beast feels complete.
Alright, so I got a wire brush here. Just going to clean out this battery tray with all the debris. Make sure it's not too nasty. Nothing quite like breathing in rust dust. Really should paint this. I don't know if I'm quite ready to paint it yet, but what I'm going to do, this is an old like 6x12 tube. I keep these old tractor tubes because you can use them for all kinds of cool stuff. So you can cut a piece out of these and use it as a rubber isolator underneath the battery. It's not perfect, but Kind of just cut it a little bit so it kind of fits. Now these don't really lay perfectly flat either, but well, that's not quite as good as I had hoped it would be. I do need to go get the hold downs for this battery that are on the other side of the garage too. So I had these nice battery hold downs to hold the battery in there. Let's see. Like Vice Grip Garage says, it's always best to get a battery with the go handle because it makes it a lot easier to take in and put out when you need to do it 8,000 times. So I bought a marine battery. This is about 675 cold cranking amps. I think it's about 800 cranking amps. But because it's a marine battery, you can crank until the battery is completely dead and it will keep going. So it's good for a piece of machinery like this that in some cases you have to crank a lot longer than you normally would for a car. But I think this battery is going to be perfect for this tractor. It was like, I don't know, 79 bucks, something like that. Not too expensive. I think it should work perfectly fine. This will at least keep the battery in place. Battery's in, that's good. Got a nice little scuff guard on the positive cable. I'm going to slide up here so it's not rubbing on the battery tray. Alright. Well, this radiator has a screen in it that you're supposed to take out and clean periodically. And of course I put my second battery cable, my second ground, right over the top of it, so I can't get the screen out to clean it very easily, but it's alright for now. Let's see, the radiator cap, definitely old, looks like a standard GM one. Not sure if that's where I'm leaking antifreeze from, but let's finish up the oil change first, then I'll go to something else. One other thing I want to do while I'm up here with the hood open is adjust the valves. They're supposed to be set at 30 and 32 thousandths gap, I think, and because there's only 2 nuts to take this valve cover off, makes it super easy to adjust those while I'm up here. And this breather is completely clogged with oil. Should probably do the valve adjustment before I fill this thing up with oil. Let me go get my manual and double check on which one needs to be which gap.
Split in half, grease on my shirt, it's my epitaph. Tired engines whispered they're done, cranky heads scream we lost no one. Profession was broke, will in the pain, revving hearts loud through oil and chain. Tired engines whispered they're done, cranky heads scream we lost no one. Where fiction was broke, well in the pain, revving hearts loud through oil and chain. Tires spin black smoke to the sky, resurrect the beast and won't let it die. Roll strip rust won't give me peace, grimy fingers twist, beg and release. Empty tanks rattle, will they trust me? Pulled them from the grave, now they're running free. Exhaust roars far from a gutted soul, pistons pounding, coming back for control. Ain't no grave for steel. steel built this tough, turning forgotten scrap back into rough. Cut edges polished with sin.
I have to go get a dead blow and kind of knock that back and forth a little bit, I think. There we go. Always use a dead blow hammer, not a metal one, so you don't wreck anything. There's the valve cover. Oh, that's good. It looks pretty clean. Ugh, smells like nasty oil, but does not look bad at all in there. Looks really clean, actually. I can't even get the feeler gauge in there. Where do I check it? Do I check it on the valve? Maybe I check it on the valve side over here. Yeah, that's probably where you have to check it. And we are too tight. I can't even get it in there. And I have some play, I can see it, but it's supposed to be 30 thousandths on the intake and 35 on the exhaust. Let me crank it over one more time just to make sure those valves are closed. Oops. Definitely closed. It does have a little bit of gap. It ain't 30 thousandths. Let's see what it actually is right now. Let's go next one down, which is 28. Ain't 28. Let's go to the next one. Well, apparently I did the entire valve adjustment without the camera going. So I'm sorry, everybody missed me doing the valve adjustment. The intake valve goes to 30 thousandths, the exhaust goes to 35 thousandths. You got to make sure that you do it correctly. And now I can top off the engine oil. If I don't make a mess, it would be nice. Shoot. Of course I'm going to make a mess. Of course. Goes really slow because you're going through the baffle and the valve cover here. Not even sure if this is really where you're supposed to fill it, but it's the only place I could see to fill it. Have to go slow. Come on. That's a good pace right there. I'm using 1540 Shell Rotella T4 because it's diesel oil. This is going to take a while. After it taking me about 20 minutes to refill the engine oil, because the oil is thick because it's like 30 degrees outside and now it's sleeting. You can probably hear it hitting the roof of my garage. But I got that all done, so the valves are now adjusted. So I got a new oil filter, and I wrote the date on it, 5 of 25. I wrote it with a Sharpie, so who knows if it's gonna... Well, I've now switched over to my phone because my GoPro batteries absolutely blow. GoPro has like the market cornered on decent quality action cameras with batteries that only last 30 minutes. It really sucks. But anyway, I got the oil changed, I got the filter changed, I got the valves adjusted, and next I think I'm going to try to take off the cable for the tach, which is down here, that goes up underneath the tach. I'm going to try to take the two pieces of that cable out and see if I can make a new cable to replace that one before moving on to the exhaust. So let me see if I can do that. I'll be right back. Well, I started looking at the tach drive, and this is the piece that broke from the tractor. You can see it kind of has like a keyway in it, and this part rides on the top of the housing. This thing engages with the engine to spin the tachometer, and it gets crimped on that cable. The other end of it has a square cut in it, and this is the end that came with the new cable. It's assuming that you have a square end on both ends, so this will not work on the tach drive. So what I'm eventually going to have to do is try to pull this inner cable out of this thing and maybe open it up with a drill bit, shove a new cable down in there, and then recrimp it on the end. But I don't think that's today's problem. I think I'm just going to put this back together the way it is for now and worry about it later, because I don't feel like spending an hour and a half screwing around with this thing today. Well, I was able to get the end crimped on there. It's not pretty. I had to squash it in my vise because the tool that they sent with this speedometer cable thing did not work. And I'm hoping it's going to spin freely in that casing. So let's go try it out. Well, I've been trying to figure out where the water leak is on this thing, and I can't really see much except that hose coming off the water pump is damp on the other side. And, you know, antifreeze is just constantly dripping out the bottom of this thing. I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from, though. So it's possible the water pump could be bad. I mean, there's the radiator and the petcock on the radiator. All of that's kind of a little bit wet, but it doesn't look like it's dripping out there. The hose on the other side doesn't look like it's dripping out there. To me, it looks like it's coming from, it's got to be somewhere over by where the water pump is. I don't know. It's really tough to say. I mean, there's freeze plugs on the side of the block too, but I don't see it dripping out from there. And it's really tough to see where it's coming from when it's just running down the drive shaft and dripping on the ground. So somewhere up under there is leaking, and it's running down the back of the engine and just dripping. I got to figure that out at some point because it is leaking quite a bit. I've probably only run this thing about an hour since I got it home, and I had to put in about a quart of antifreeze, and it still didn't quite fill it up. I also put another radiator cap on here. So yeah, you can see I'm still probably 8 or 10 ounces light on the fluid. But I had a 16-pound radiator cap. That might be too much, but it's what I had. This is the one that was on the tractor, and it's in pretty rough shape. No idea if it's any good. Feels like maybe a 7 or 10-pound. It's pretty light. But, you know, maybe putting a 16-pound cap on it is the wrong thing. For now, I'm just going to try it and see if anything happens. Valves are all adjusted. Oil's changed. I welded up the muffler. So it's not pretty. I was welding with my welder on my generator, and they don't really play that well together, so the welds don't look great. And I was able to fix down here. There's actually a weep hole on the bottom of the pipe that I think is supposed to be there from the factory to keep it from rotting out. But the problem with a weep hole like that, after 30 or 40 years of water dripping down it, especially because this tractor sat outside for a long time, it ends up making that hole bigger and bigger. So I got all that done. The only thing else I was going to do today is top off the transmission fluid and swap the rear wheels. So I think I'm going to do the wheels next. I got to go grab my lug wrenches and my jack and some jack stands and get to that. Oh, these are heavy. I don't think they're loaded, but actually, it's got something in it. I don't know what, they're pretty heavy. It's got something in it. I keep misplacing stuff. There it is, coil. Then you jerk it out. That's weird. The other one feels heavier than this one, but they definitely have something in them. I don't know what. Oh yeah, they're full of something, all right. I'm gonna have to very gingerly lower the jack to line this guy up because it's pretty heavy. One more. My jack's not super precise, so I'm trying to be careful here. There we go, that was nice. Ah, almost dead on. Just got it twisted a little bit. Oh man, yeah, these are pretty heavy. Let me twist that hub. Yep. Oh my god. Yeah, perfect. What do you think? That one started. I know that one started. Jack it back up a little bit. There we go. There. Now you can see that there's a bit of depth in the rim, so that pushes the tire out about 3 inches. Now it sticks out of the fender a little bit more, which is exactly what I wanted, because I prefer to have the rear track width on the tractor a little bit wider, give me a little more stability. And much as I don't like these rims because they don't look like traditional tractor rims, they're just a flat disc, they are beefy AF. They're heavy duty and they're loaded with something. I think they got tubes in them. They're definitely loaded with something. BKT TR135s. Nice tires. Same as what I got on some of my tractors, I think. My small tractors, that is.
Not too bad to do the swap over either. I know it's going to be easy. I get to try out to see if my little fixes here and there help anything. Oil change and stuff. And it's like sleeting outside too. I'll put these after I get the tractor back on the ground. I'm going to do the other side.
But yeah, that's definitely, now the rear tires stick out like 4 inches wider than the front ones. That's actually a pretty drastic change, and I like it. I'm going to go do the other side. still recording, or did you die already? You're still recording. Well, I can't get it started yet. I'm gonna reset here.